Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a really fascinating forensic case study today. It's all about a corporate loophole that was hiding in plain sight. Using the brilliant scripted workplace drama Source File 41 as our guide, we're going to explore how a lack of accountability is so often buried right inside really good-looking rules. Think about this quote for a second. The new policy was supposed to protect everyone. One unread sentence almost protected the wrong person instead. You know, the biggest threats to corporate integrity, they almost never arrive with some dramatic villain storming into a meeting room. No, they arrive quietly. They just sit on a desk, masquerading as standard procedure, basically just waiting for people to be way too tired to read the fine print. So, to break down how a totally innocent-looking policy became an absolute battleground, here's our roadmap. We're going to look at the illusion of reform, that sneaky hidden exemption clause, how to map the digital trail, exposing the real design, and finally, fixing the corporate system. Let's dive in. All right, part one, the illusion of reform. This is what happens when a so-called fresh start is actually hiding a massive danger. Picture this, a freshly approved accountability policy drops right onto the boardroom table. The executives involved are aggressively pushing the shiny new document, and they're using all these soft, comforting buzzwords like fresh start, governance reset, and healing period. But beneath those reassuring words, it's completely an illusion. When leaders rush to approve a policy while heavy-handedly emphasizing emotional closure, it's usually a massive red flag. It's a signal that they want you to stop asking questions. But independent board member Elise sees right through the theater. She brilliantly points out that closure without memory is just a new cover page. And she's so right. A fresh document doesn't just magically erase old mistakes, it just packages them differently.
Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden exemption clause. This is where the boring, mundane text literally changes everything.
Buried deep down in that fine print is a trap, an exemption clause. It quietly allows legacy executives to completely avoid review for decisions made before the audit cutoff. This right here is exactly how accountability gets entirely neutralized by a single boring-sounding sentence. It doesn't scream cover up, it just quietly redefines who the rules actually apply to. In the boardroom, you've got these two wildly different narratives colliding. Executive Victor Hale offers this super smooth, sanitized explanation, calling the clause simple legal housekeeping. You know, a term literally designed to make you tune out. But strategy lead Maya Carter, she immediately recognizes reality. This isn't housekeeping at all. This is about protecting legacy executives from an ongoing audit. Let's move to Section 3, mapping the digital trail. It's all about following the record, not the noise in the room. When explanations arrive just a little too smoothly, you've got to check the timestamps. Enter analyst Aisha Morgan. She actually admits she is new enough to still read the parts everyone else calls standard. And by simply checking the metadata, doing the boring work, she unlocks the entire investigation. She asks the one crucial question: why don't the document details match the official timeline? To cut through all the executive's noise, Maya lays out this elegant, simple three-step method. Step 1, what changed? Step 2, who changed it? Step 3, who benefits? This is exactly how you handle corporate gaslighting. You don't need louder opinions, you just need a clean, logical path from the action directly to the owner. I absolutely love how IT audit specialist Jordan Price handles this when confronted with executives trying to spin the narrative. He just grounds the entire room, saying, this is not suspicion, this is sequence. Data doesn't have an agenda, right? It just has timestamps. Background work still leaves foreground records, and the system log definitely doesn't care about your job title. And here is the ultimate smoking gun, the timeline itself. At 0 minutes, Elise approves a perfectly clean document. Then, there's a 12-minute silent digital gap. And exactly 12 minutes later, that exemption clause is quietly inserted. This proves without a doubt that someone deliberately altered the document after it was supposedly finalized. No way that's a typo. That was a targeted intervention. All right, Section 4, exposing the real design. This is where the meeting turns into pure theater. As the evidence really starts piling up, the excuses evolve fast. Victor Hale tries to casually brush it off as a mere administrative error. But the deeper the team looks, the more sinister it gets. Maya's team actually links the draft to an external reputation consultant. What looks like a harmless little error is exposed as a highly calculated design, drafted from the exact same template used during previous cover-up meetings. Unbelievable, right? Naturally, the executives try to soften their verbs and ask everyone to think about optics. But Maya shuts them down instantly. I am not asking you to trust me. I am asking you to trust the record you created. She isn't attacking them emotionally. She's simply making the system log the ultimate, undeniable witness in the room. And that leads us to our final section, fixing the corporate system, choosing permanent repair over a private reprimand. The higher-ups, they just want this to vanish quietly with a behind-closed-doors reprimand. But Maya absolutely refuses a private fix. She recognizes that true reform has to protect the people who aren't even in the room, the everyday employees who will actually be governed by this policy. As she puts it, do not quietly fix what can publicly teach. So to make sure this literally never happens again, they institute strict mechanical protections. They freeze the current policy immediately. They implement a mandatory public changelog. And they require red lines for all future government's documents. They ensure that a 12-minute gap can never happen in the dark again. They didn't just catch a lie, they rebuilt the system to make the next lie incredibly difficult to pull off. If there's one massive takeaway from this whole explainer, it's this. A policy that nobody can trace is not reform. It is a nicer hiding place. If your company's rules and guidelines don't have a visible, totally transparent history of who wrote them and who altered them, they are there to protect the company. They are there to protect individuals. So let me ask you, take a hard look at your own company's accountability rules. Are they genuinely transparent? Or do they have their own 12-minute gaps just hiding in the fine print? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep asking those tough questions, always check the timestamps, and whatever you do, never let the boring text go unread. Catch you next time.